Mmm, drop some terpenes in my kombucha, why don't ya? That's right, more flavor for the true flower lovers, right here in Fort Myers and on the Sanja Ganja Show. And I get to chat with the owner. To let me in. Deep down. Welcome back, humans, to the Sanja Ganja Show, where we discuss this thing we call life high. With influential and inspiring guests who are doing their part in the cannabis community, you do not want to miss these dank episodes. Today, I'm hanging out with Cole Peacock, owner of Seed and Bead Marketplace, the first CBD marketplace, and it just so happens to be my favorite spot to re-up while getting my coffee. Before we get into it today, I gotta tell you, I've missed you a lot, and I apologize for my serious neglect to my channel. So make sure you subscribe, because I will be uploading a ton more videos explaining my wonderful, beautiful, crazy life. And also, as you can see, I look very different. But for now, let's talk cannabis, baby. Meet Cole. Welcome, Cole, to the Sanja Ganja Show. How's it going?
Good to be here. Yeah, it's great. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh man, I am such a fan. You have the best CBD market in all of the South, I would say.
Yeah. Well, if you see it behind me over there, there's one of our logos with the leaf and the cup, and it's a signature thing that we have. Yeah, so we're super excited about the market, and we've talked about it a couple of times, especially when you visited. I mean, we've got two locations in the state of Florida, the only ones that have been approved to do this in the state, and there's only two companies like ours in the nation. So pretty cool, pretty unique, and we're looking to expand the hell out of it and bring more people into the fold and let them come in and hang out and feel our chill vibe.
I absolutely love the vibe that you guys do have going on, because first of all, I didn't know that you guys could add terpenes to your drinks that you have, and not only that, but you have CBD drink products and beverages. So it was wonderful. It felt like I was in a dispensary.
Let's see, we got it right here. Yeah, we've got our pure native seltzer right here. So
see, that's what I'm talking about. We're gonna play truth or sip later, so you can drink some of that.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, so when we did this, Sanja, we no one had ever done it, right? So we started with the path and had to go through all the regulatory issues with the state of Florida. And when you start to do blending of foods, you really got to understand how to do it, A, and B, what's it going to look like, right? And when I say what's it going to look like, if you release too much THC, or if it has a horrible taste to it, or what does the oils do to the products. And so we actually had to bring the Department of Health and the Department of Ag and the business professional regs from the state into the shop and say, okay, this is what we're doing, this is how we're going to do it, and actually had to teach the food inspectors from the Department of Health how this was going to be done, so that they would understand, when they came in and regulated us, what we were doing and what we weren't doing.
Well, and what year was that you had to kind of pioneer that journey?
Yeah, so that would have been in 1819.
Okay.
And that was kind of coming off of the state of Florida being relatively new in the medical marijuana side. And then as we went through about 7-8 months of really drafting regulatory issues, ordinances inside the city, meeting with the right departments. I mean, hell, we had to meet with the attorney general, had to bring in the sheriff's department, had to bring everybody in. Because in our venue, you can use all these products. You can sit outside and smoke and hang out and do things. And under the dispensary models, you're not allowed to do that. So then we got open and things were rocking and rolling, and then everyone experienced COVID, and we had to shut down. But what that did for us is it really allowed us to build a customer base on people who couldn't sleep, had anxiety, their dogs, they were home with their pets longer than ever been before. And the dogs would get their zoomies and run around, and how do they chill them out? And so we've got dog treats that we can do stuff with. And so it really gave us an experience to build a customer base that was meaningful, that they could see the impacts, that when they weren't going to the office every day, this is how it helped them cope. And really, we found an interesting thing with our vitamin C gummies, especially during, you know, COVID, flu season, everything
Mm-hmm.
else, pumping up that vitamin C, and then the positives that the cannabinoids give you really change the dynamic for a lot of people, and especially, you know, some of the kids that were home, you know, doing all their work online and schooling,
Right.
attention and keeping them active and keeping them moving. So it, for as many things that COVID did, you know, bad and horrible, and no one wants to go through this ever again,
Mm-hmm.
we were able to find some bright spots in it and really find ways to help people.
I love hearing this perspective because it was a learning curve. And although it also brought out the authenticness into your company, because
Yeah.
you guys were able to create a purpose even further than what you thought you were already set out to do with Seed and Bean, which I find absolutely beautiful. I mean, I think that's really cool because you guys are really, really well known here in Florida, not just Fort Myers, but when I mention, hey, I know Seed and Bean, everyone's like, hey, me too. I love Seed and Bean. And I love that feeling because it feels like old school California or Colorado when you walk into a dispensary, but yet it's a CBD market / I can get my coffee, my beverages, I can grab a bite to eat, and it's cool in there as well.
Well, that was the whole thing. I mean, we really wanted to bring a vibe that was not here, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, I had been in the industry previously, and a couple of my partners had been in the industry previously, you know, doing stuff on the medical side, and we saw this niche in the marketplace that nobody was conquering, and so we went to it. Here's what we wanted. We wanted you, just like you said, we wanted you to be able to come in there, and if you want to work all day, you
Yeah.
feel comfortable enough to do it. If you want to come in there and drink, cannabis beers, rock on. If you
Yes.
want to have tea infused, if you want your terpenes infused, if you want a really good clean meal, all that combined with some coffee. And what we have found is when people come in, they instantly just go,
Yes, that's what
they
I
sit,
did.
they chill out, they hang out, the music is good, the people are cool. And one of the things that I felt we needed to do was really add diversity to the workforce, right?
Mm-hmm.
So um, I think America's gone through their own shit and it's been long enough, and now I think people are paying attention. But you walk in there and there's people that look just like me, just like you, and just like our
Yep.
neighbor, and just like anybody else. And we kind of took that approach as this is who we are.
You're absolutely right. I have seen what I like to call suits in there. I've
Yeah.
seen dread heads, which now I've got a new look, but I still have halo dreads somewhere.
I was going to ask you where that all went. You said you're getting
New
cleaned
look,
up over there.
new year, new look. It was time for it to go. I'm bringing the afro back, so
Good. I dig it.
we'll see about that. I
I
need to
dig
get
it.
up on my vitamins. That's what I need to do. So, Cole, you've been involved with like the Florida constitutional amendment for medical marijuana. And, you also were feet on the ground for several years to kind of help Florida's cannabis industry develop. And I find that fascinating because all the while you also birthed Seed and Bean, and you have your past with medical marijuana as well. And you also have a legacy here with your family and agriculture. And so I found you so fascinating, and your team was so welcoming to Sandra Ganja and my family. So, what is that like, having your hand dipped both in the boardroom, both in politics and then now in the hemp and cannabis industry?
Yeah, so it's been a fun experience. I mean, for whatever reasons, I've always, been one to jump and do things and never been afraid to test waters. So to your point, I mean, my family's 5 generations in Florida in the ag industry. So we've been farmers for a very long time. I kind of jumped out of that and went into um, government and worked in the legislature and ran political campaigns on the federal and state and local levels for a while. From there, transitioned into women's retail and was an executive in the women's retail with Fortune 500 companies, and then really looked at things that were out there, did some consulting work across the board for corporations. But then medical marijuana came around, and I've had some firsthand experiences with how the cannabis plant can help and heal people. or at least ease some pain they're going through, and whether that was experiences with my mom or friends of mine, or family members of what have you. So I started paying attention to it and said, okay. And for the record, I mean, I've been a lifelong smoker. I mean, it is what it is. But as this constitutional came around the first time, it failed, and it failed mainly because it didn't have the right spin. It was, it wasn't your pot smokers, initiative. It was an initiative for the betterment of the state of Florida. And so the second go round on it, Sanja, I was asked along with a handful of other people to really put some teeth into it, some exercise, some of the experiences we had, and we got it passed. And I should, that credit goes to a lot of other people besides me, but kind of being called in to do some of the stuff. And then as it moved forward, they started awarding licenses, and we got involved with that. And we helped some people get some licenses, and we did some overlays with some companies and dispensaries, and so we really got plugged in. And with my background, the combinations of retail and the ag side and the government side, was a really nice fit for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Which then led to a great honor of me serving on the Hemp and Cannabis Advisory Board for the state, which really oversees all the rules, regulations for both sides of the industry. Right. Whether it's medical, whether it's hemp. And Florida legislature starts yesterday, and today's the first full session, and I've got 2 state reps that I'm helping draft bills for the cannabis industry. So you've got to stay involved, you got to do it. But kind of the coolest thing for me is really being, to your point, being on the ground level and seeing every iteration that's happened. And it's been frustrating as hell, and it's been fun as hell. And you're constantly, going to battle the people that, still have this war on drugs mindset. But then you got all the other people that are like, dude, I've been doing this for a long time. It's how I cope. It's how I live my life. It is what it is. But that conversation is really getting, more narrow, because people are seeing the positive impacts of the plant itself.
They really are. And, I love that you have the credibility to kind of teach the people that you have that you're coaching, and you have the businesses out there that are reaching our community, which is great. And, with your background and with your knowledge, I'm curious to know what you think, since they are changing regulations. Florida's got a lot going on right now. Specifically, do you kind of see hemp and cannabis being economic relief, due to this pandemic in the next 5 years? I mean, it already has helped, but I guess it's a little more quiet right now.
Currently, the cannabis industry, and let's talk hemp, because hemp is federally legal and regulated, and you can do more with it. But I have been involved with 2 different universities that are doing studies. As one is, how does the hemp plant filter toxins that are going into our water? People don't realize that the stock and the plant itself is such a great filtration mechanism, and how sturdy it is. So you've got studies that are, take runoff from farms that get into our waterways. Well, if you lined, a barrier with hemp plant, and that has that filtration come through, then you've got other groups that are doing hempcrete. They're looking to take the fibers and the strength of the hemp plant and blend it with concrete, so that you're dual capacity, and you're not abusing either side of the industries and the product lines. And then you've got things like sheetrock that they're blending with sheetrock.
Right.
People are going back to using hemp paper, which most of us know every document in the U.S. was written on hemp paper before they had the paper we use today. And and then the other side to that is people are starting to understand the full wellness side. So that's kind of one side. Now, what happened in Florida is being such a heavy agricultural state, the citrus industry is really struggling. We're peanut farmers. The peanut farmers are starting to struggle with price points. But what happened was, you could take, a 5-acre peanut farm and scale that down to a 1-acre hemp farm and make just as much money, and send it for various locations. One of the greatest things that I was involved with that I wish I would have thought of, is they're now taking this livestock and using hemp and blending it with beef or livestock because of all of the wellness factors that are in it. It's got clean. It'll help with cleaner meat. You don't need as many toxins to the livestock food. So there's just so many different ways to do it. From an economic driver, it's already making that impact. It's a multi-$100 million industry already in the state of Florida, because you've got not only ingestibles, but you've got everyday products that are being used. It'll end up being, Florida has kind of 5 pillars of success for their economic drivers. This will be the 6th pillar. Right. And when I say it'll be cannabis as a whole. Once Florida goes rec, they'll be able to tax it because you can't tax medical right now. So there's another economic driver to that. So yeah, I think it's here to stay. I think it'll end up being, if everything is right, Florida will be the largest cannabis state in the nation.
I think that we are well on our way, and I know a few states that are trying to still, gun for that, but I think we are definitely making our statement, and with your help, we're definitely getting there. So what do you want to communicate to the people?
Yeah, it's a place you can come and chill and be yourself. And you can get clean foods and clean products, and you can spend time with your neighbor and your friend and your business partner. For those that may be watching that remember Friends, the show Friends at the bar, it's one of those settings. For those who don't, it's a community location. I mean, we are heavily involved in the community. Let me ask you, how many cannabis companies do you know that sponsor the sheriff's monthly community meetings with coffee and treats, and it's okay?
That's you guys?
Right.
I love that, by the way.
So how do you build something? You engage your community, you let people know. One of the things that we pride ourselves on is education. So we have people that come in all the time that may not know the difference between CBD or THC, or what is a cannabis plant, or how's it going to impact me. And it's a community place. I mean, that's really what it is. And
I love that. It's a community place, and it is. Even when I walk by, if I have to go next door or shop across the street, I see people outside. Hey, how you doing? Yep. Every single time, and that's what this industry and culture is about. And you're helping bring that awareness to the forefront.
Well, and what's pretty unique about it, and you said it earlier, I mean, you can see every walk of life. And what I think is great is when I can walk in there and see people that obviously are just hanging out and drinking beers next to a business person or attorney who's wearing their suit and tie and talking business while they're sipping on coffee or whatever they're doing.
I've definitely had one of those, and they are delicious. Which, speaking of which, let's play a little game. Let's play some truth or sip, shall we? Since you've got your beverage. Before we do, tell us about this wonderful product that you have. My wife is now obsessed with, by the way.
Good. Our Pure Native seltzer. So we also have Pure Native, which is our hemp and CBD line, which is a national line that we've been able to produce. But what's great about this is it is 100% Florida specific. So it's got Florida grown hemp and CBD. It's got fresh from Florida seal to it. It's been tested in Florida. It's manufactured in Florida, and we're really proud about that.
Love
and
that.
It is the first CBD seltzer in the state of Florida to go to market. And this one's relaxing passion mango, and it's got 13 milligrams of nano CBD in it, and it tastes awesome. And what has been you can drink it on your own and have a good time. But what people are doing is it goes really well with tequila, goes really well with vodka, goes really well in sangria. So we've got a bunch of different mocktails that we have, and we've got bars around town that are using it for specialty drinks. And so it's awesome. So it's
you're connecting the community. I love that through Jolly Vibes. I love it.
It's good. So we're it's great when you see somebody walk around with one of your seltzer cans. You're like, yep, check, that works.
Oh, I love it so much. Okay, guys, we're going to do a new take on Truth or Dab, the age-old classic game on the Sandra Ganja Show. We are now going to do, in honor of Cole and in honor of Seed and Bean, we are now introducing Truth or Sip. Dun, da, da, da.
Oh, I love it. Let's do it. I love it.
Truth or sip?
Truth.
All right. Okay, got to be honest.
Yeah.
So I know that you said you do still medicate on cannabis, but you are a very, very important man. You're very busy. You're a family man. You've got a lot going on. Be honest now. How often do you actually medicate on medical marijuana?
Every day.
Every day, really? I didn't expect that. Okay, there we go.
Let's put this into perspective. I mean, you know, I've been doing it my whole life. Now, maybe not my whole life every single day because, you know, I grew up as an athlete and was lucky enough to play college athletics. So you had to change things and adapt to it. But I can tell you this with 100%. I would prefer to get my mind right, but much more than I would sit down and drink 5 tequilas.
Amen to that.
Perfect scenario for me is get my mind straight and maybe 1 cocktail and I'm cool.
Right.
But yeah, it's an everyday experience, and typically for me it's in the afternoons and late afternoons and evening, and it helps me just kind of relax and unwind and be right.
I love that. I love it so much. It's inspiring for people to see that, because I mean, I personally still have friends that are in the business world that work, you know, in a totally opposite industry that are still afraid to even use it. And I'm like, hey man, you've got gout. You need to be using CBD.
Right. So, you know, I mean, for me, I always find it hard when people are in the industry and they don't live and breathe that industry and can't speak the truth about it. So if I were in front of you today, not using this plan at any level, I'd be a fake.
Right. Exactly. No, and more power to you and what you're doing. I absolutely adore it. So tell me, what's the plans to come in 2022? And before you do, now you got to take a sip and tell us a little bit more about that mango taste.
Yeah. So.
Whoop, whoop. Gulp, gulp.
Mm-hmm. So right amount of fizz, right amount of flavor, all natural, organic. It's live nectar inside of here. I mean, it's fantastic. You know, what's been great about that seltzer right there is, and you've had it, and you know, you brag about it, and so does your wife, and everyone who drinks it falls in love with it.
Absolutely.
The biggest problem we're going to have, which is a great problem, is once it hits that certain mark, it's going to be a struggle to get it in everybody's hands, but we'll face that when we get there.
It's going to be the new Mountain Dew, because I don't think anyone drinks that anymore.
I don't. If they do, they're probably just still in high school. I don't think anybody else.
Right. I love it. So are you thinking about opening more Seed and Beans in other states? I mean, I know Colorado would eat this up.
Yeah, so we've got 2 locations, the one in Fort Myers and one in Venice. Again, kind of going back to COVID, it slowed down our aggressive push.
Sure.
We've got about 4 locations we've identified, at least 4 cities that we want to do, and probably pull the trigger on 3 of those by the end of 2022, something like that. We have been asked, it's funny you asked, you know, we once a week, somebody who comes in from California, Colorado, Oregon, Montana, New Jersey, wherever they're coming from, and they ask if we franchise. Holy shit, this is the coolest place we've ever been. How do we get one of these? Right. And they come back. I mean, they may not even be staying in Fort Myers. They may be staying in Bonita somewhere, 20 miles away, and they come back to visit. So we definitely have a franchise model we're gonna roll out at some point. Target audiences for us is kind of the corridor of Florida, so we can get that kind of under control. Colorado is definitely a target audience. North Carolina is a target audience. We've had a ton of people from Arizona really, really reach out to us and do things. So my daughter lives in Lafayette, right outside of Denver. And
perfect.
Yeah, she wears me out. She's like, Dad, come on. Well, when are you putting one out here? They don't have this in Colorado. They don't have any of these. Please let me do it. So
yes,
it's definitely something we're looking to do. And the one thing we want to make sure of, Sanja, is that when we do expand out, we don't lose what we have. And It doesn't become just a corporate location that looks funky, that no matter what neighborhood you're in, you feel comfortable. It's a community place. It's a place to chill. So we want to make sure that we partner with the right people and hire the right people that have the same beliefs and vibes that we do.
Yes, and what you've done is just help accentuate the culture, and that's what it's all about here on the Sanja Ganja Show and in Sanja Land, I'm telling you. So can you tell my audience where they can find more on Seed and Bean?
We're on all the social platforms. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, we're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter, we're on all of those. And it's Seed and Beans, the handles and hashtags. But you can also go to seedandbeanmarket.com for the website, and that can link you to everything. You can sign up for mailers and email blasts that we have, and events taking place, and product specials that we run, and that'll link you into Pure Native too. I mean, so Pure Native is our lifestyle brand.
Perfect.
We've got a variety of different stuff. I mean, hell, you talk about what am I doing? Here's one of my pre-rolls.
Yeah.
Right, but then these vitamin gummies, especially with the vitamin C, have been flying off the shelf during flu season, during COVID, helping people build up their immune systems. I've mentioned the dog treats, and hell, we got bacon cheddar dog treats. The dogs love them, So
yes.
So the Pure Native side is kind of the other leg of what we do, Sanja, and we were one of the first hemp and CBD companies established in the state, and especially to get Fresh from Florida approval, which is the highest approval you can get in the state for any product.
I mean, you just have a thing for being the first at a lot of things, don't you? I love it. I absolutely love it. You're breaking records here, my man. You are.
Yeah,
great.
I'm trying. As long as it's out there. I learned that from my dad and my grandparents that you grow up in an ag family, and you just got to find a way to survive and move forward and try new things. And I've been blessed. I mean, I really have been lucky enough to do it. And look, I mean, I've had a ton of failures.
Sure.
For someone who's going to push forward and be a trailblazer, it's not always roses, that's for sure.
We always love to end on a positive note. And your team told me a little something about you, that you have like this motto that you like to say all the time. And so can you share that with the Sanja Ganja Land?
Well, a couple of them. One's never give up. I mean, that's one that just, you can't. You've got to push forward and do this thing all the time. And one of the other ones that I really believe is you got to treat people the way you want to be treated. That gains a level of respect. And if I look at anyone differently than how they were going to look at me, and just because you no longer have your dreads, but if I would have looked at you with your dreads and been like, yeah, not really my style, right, we wouldn't be talking today. Right? Absolutely. 100%. It's those two things really. My belief, you can live by that, it puts you in a different place. And oftentimes you got to wake up and tell yourself, keep moving forward, keep going.
One foot in front of the other. I can hear that. Great and true words. You have truly been a light on this episode, and I am just so blessed that you've been able to be in my life. And I love what you're doing for the community. Your team has so many wonderful things to say about you, and that to me it just means so much, because I had so many great mentors and coaches and dispensary owners that took great care of me, and now I'm living the dream for real. Yeah. And you're doing that for your people, and I love that.
Well, I appreciate those kind words. And, look, I mean, thank you for saying that, but you're doing the same thing. I mean, if you weren't putting yourself out there with what you're doing and the THC girls and everything in between, who would be doing it? And, right. It takes people like you and I, and it takes a group, and it takes a family, and it takes a community. And, it's moving in the right direction. It really is. And all these stigmas are getting knocked down, and they are. And it's because of badass people like yourself.
That's right. And more power to us, my friend. Right. Yes. Thank you so much for being on the show. And before we go, you guys, remember, as we always say on the Sanja Ganja Show, as always, remember to meditate, pray, take your vitamins, and be a good person. Damn it. Stay high, America.
Love it. Thank you so much. See you soon. Stay high, America.
That's a wrap on another dank episode of the Sanja Ganja Show. For more Canna Talk, subscribe and follow me online. And in the meantime, visit my website at sanjaganja.com. As we always like to say on the show, remember to eat your veggies, meditate, pray, and be a good person. I'm Sanja Ganja. Stay high, America. deep down.